take a ladder off a truck.
As long as they were trained.
As long as they're trained, correct. If they can change a bottle on an air pack, a bottle of an air pack is 25 pounds. Flip a lever, make sure the bottle's off, unscrew it, put the new one back on. It's a job someone on the exterior can do, and you're not leaning over your partner to have you done at the same time. There's a lot of stuff on the outside that can be done.
So they don't have to take a specific course, they just have to go through the training that you provide?
Correct. If you are interior policies, if you're going into a structure fire, high risk, you obviously have some problems inside a burning building. Our internal policy is for interior firefighter, you'll be firefighter 1. For exterior firefighter or truck operator or like pump operator, you're trained to operate those tasks. Firefighter 1, you can do ventilation, they do fire involvement, a lot of stuff. Truck operator may say, I'll drive a truck. You drive the truck over, you put the pump in gear, you park it in the right spot, maybe you pull a hose off, you run the truck. 2 different levels and you're pushing everybody, so.
Is there something in the bylaws where, I think within 2 years of joining the fire department, they must meet certain criteria to be a firefighter?
Right, and it's our own internal thing. If you join the fire department, we would encourage you to take Fire 1. Well, some people aren't going into a burning building. So there are people who just do EMS. Don't do it now, but there are people who just do EMS. Well, we need those too. So if someone says, I'll be an EMR, they can ride the ambulance, or if you want to drive the ambulance, you can be just CPR certified. We do our own little 1-hour training, make sure that someone else will ride with you. You're certified to drive the ambulance. The smaller trucks, like the brush truck, you don't need a Q license. That's a firefighter only license. You don't need a CDL. When you get into the hose reel truck, it's supposed to have a CDL or a Q license because it's got an air brake classification. When you get to the bigger trucks, rescue truck, tanker, pumper, big trucks, gotta have a little more experience. Big truck, a lot of weight, more experience.
How do you get the Q designation for your license?
Once in a while, we did a class here probably 3 years ago. Sometimes fire departments do them internally. It's just a scheduling thing. You pay an instructor to do it. They come out and you go through a class of 16, 18, 20 hours, whatever it is. You go through
It's actually
course.
recently changed.
Hmm?
It's actually recently changed.
yeah, well I know,
It now can be done in-house.
Yeah.
You can have an instructor
yeah,
instructed by one of the fire schools to do it.
yeah, but it's not as hard as it used to be. And a Q license is only fire trucks.
It's a qualified instructor, I would guess. And are you one?
No,
Do we have one in the fire department at all? No.
no.
Thank you. Anything else?
Can I ask one more question? I hate to rehash this, but I'm just trying to understand it a little better. The $60,000 in the revenue recovery account, is that billing revenue that was prior to the
The end of
the settlement?
agreement? No,
Prior to or after the settlement?
that's after the settlement agreement.
So it was EMS billing collected after the settlement had expired?
Correct. Yeah. And it's
And when the settlement expired depends on whose lawyer's opinion.
well,
Ours say it expired on the 26th of May, I believe, it says it in the agreement. And our attorney feels payment was due July 1st following the May.
but the numbers I gave you, the $60,000 you're talking about is from that date beyond. So there are two, she was very careful about keeping track, because that January to May was questionable, depending on who you asked. Afterward, it's nothing to do with, that money you're talking
But we haven't seen any of those numbers, and that's what we're asking for in terms of audit, just so we're
about. Correct,
clear. We're
what
asking
he's
for the
talking about
whole
is
period.
afterward, I understand that.
But the fire department paid a bill to Vintech for, what was that amount, 37,000?
38.
The invoice said
2
$23,550.
months.
2
No,
months.
there's more than one page, but,
So that, is that in addition to the 60,000? Or did that
no, that's,
come out of the 60,000?
That came out of the 48, 47,
yeah, no, the
48,000?
60,000 is actually there. That 20, it's 38. that total is the January to May amount. So that January to May amount was 37,000. The amount that we paid for Vintech for the 2 months
Was
was,
prior to January.
no, it was prior to May. What-
Okay.
No, clear it up for him.
No, but that's,
So he had one, right, where he had one, statement, bank statement showed it was 37,000,
Right,
right?
that-
And that was from January to May.
Yep.
right,
that
in
that was
terms
how
of
much we,
revenue
how much we
recovery
collected, correct?
Right,
Yep.
and then you had a bill from Vintech, it was 23,550 on that invoice for the Vintech bill that we produced today.
And that was 1 month. Then the other month was the other 14.
Do you have that one?
I did,
38,200 plus or minus was
yes,
paid.
correct. But again, that's the 2 months that we paid for, correct? But that's not the money you're talking about. That's after the settlement agreement started or ended. That's since to the date the PSA was given out.
Essentially, Joel, what you're saying is the monies collected in the 4 months that the agreement was in force was utilized to pay Ventec.
Correct.
For
Which
two
is
months at the expiration of that
correct. It's
settlement
just
agreement.
two entirely different times, but yes. Okay, so that was the
That's the
amount
total
we took in
collected.
for the
Yeah.
correct. Again, this was that one, 14.5,
Yep.
and then this one was the,
April, right?
yeah.
Did you and Tommy almost come to an agreement? Did I understand that he was willing to sign, re-sign the agreement and just put it back into motion again?
I
And
don't,
you didn't want to do that?
I don't recall where it broke down. The in theory part was we would put it in a special account, this revenue recovery amount, and that would be used for fire or ambulance apparatus. And when they did their minutes didn't really reflect exactly that, so we kinda had a little breakdown at that point.
Initially, when this agreement ran out, we sat down and talked, and they asked me for my opinion of what the new one should look like. And this was an agreement that kind of settled some other issues
Yes,
from
totally
10 years
no
ago.
connection.
This is just revenue
Correct.
recovery.
My
She's very-
opinion was
So
to
there's
clean up that
new
language within the
balances,
agreement
deposits,
and just
then
move forward with the
withdrawals.
same
What
terms.
withdrawals out of that account made during the
They
period?
disagree.
I'm the man, I'm not in charge of doing that, so I just let the girl do it.
Okay. But, so the revenue recovery was held in a completely
Yes,
separate
no,
bank account?
no connection with anything, correct?
And so, there should have just been deposits into that account, because what would that withdrawals have been for out of the revenue recovery account?
Depending on what those are, if you have a billing overstatement, and let me get through it, because again, I don't do this, I let the person in charge handle it, and she's way smarter than I am. It'd be better if you talk to her directly, because if I screw it up, she's just gonna have to correct the two of us. But, and again, this was the totals that she gave me was what you had.
Okay.
That's the outgoing, and this was the ingoing.
So this is the reason for the audit, right, so we can
I guess, and I know
get this,
that-
it'd be pretty simple.
Oh, no, I'm sure, and she's excellent stuff, by the way. But she said this was the amount that we took in that 5 months, so.
Are you empowered tonight to give us permission to go over there and ask for that documentation?
She's away for the week, and she's really good, and I'm sure she can provide that.
Well, my question was, when we get
Yes.
over there, you're empowered to
We've-
allow us to look at those statements.
Yes, because
Okay.
this is its own line item, she keeps good track of it, so it
And
doesn't
can we,
really.
can we continue to have a copy
Sure.
of this and the second?
Um,
You had the second receipt, or did you have it?
No, I gave
Copy
all
machine
those
out
back.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
You take copies of this, or?
Sure, if
We
you
can
want
certainly run them back tomorrow, if she's gonna be there tomorrow, we can get the bank statements.
I'll make copies, that's that way I can say I didn't lose it. But again, these are pretty much a wash, and she was confident of that too, so.
Ask one more question. Tom?
Sure.
You were quoted somewhere, saying, you would not enter into a contract with the department until an investigation by the Connecticut State Police is concluded,
Correct.
or
There's
is that,
they're under a felony investigation by Major Crimes, Troop L, for forgery.
okay?
And I didn't feel it's in the best interest of the town to enter into a long-term agreement with the organization that's currently under that investigation.
Okay?
Didn't stop us from sitting down and talking about it.
Is
So,
it an individual or is it the organization?
I'm not privy to-
I'm being investigated by the state police, that's the best way to word it, because that's the investigation.
so, I guess my question is, we're gonna try and hammer this deal out in the next couple of months?
Well, we
If
don't,
we-
make sure it's deal for revenue recovery, because, and that's the deal we're speaking of, right, a revenue recovery agreement deal.
What that quote was from?
Yep.
Was an agreement, actually two agreements, the fire department put forth. I can't remember, what do you call it? Service level agreement. And I did not feel it was in the best interest of the town to enter into that agreement. It's a very long-term agreement,
Okay,
until this is all cleared up. I wasn't talking about what we're talking about
okay,
tonight.
all right. My concern is that we sit here for several months,
Oh,
try
yeah.
and work something out, and then it's not gonna get signed because
Right.
there's still an investigation, so. Okay,
So the only thing would be a meeting date? So fire department's meeting on Tuesday. Did February 2nd work at all for anyone?
February 2nd.
Oh, is that a Friday? First?
Good for me.
Oh, Groundhog Day.
What was wrong with that day? What was wrong with next Thursday?
Sorry, that's,
Next Thursday, and he can't do the
Can't
25th.
do the second.
No, it's the first.
First. So we'll shoot for 2 1.
7:30?
7:30.
That's the one, right, the 10th.
I'm in the middle of progress tonight.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion to adjourn?
Well, we had an agenda and adjourn was on it, so motion to adjourn would be in order. If everyone's set with 7:30, February 1st.
Good.
Is there a motion, Chris?
Yeah, I'll motion to adjourn.
say 7:30, it's not 7:30, look, the clock up there says,
Awesome.
20.
Hey, thanks again for your participation.
No.
A lot of stuff is fluff. Fluff.
So I can go away tomorrow.
No, she'll be back till I mean, if I treat her, she may. Mark, thank you. Joe, let her know. Does she have hours Tuesday? She works on, she travels all over. So she,
Well, I'll tell you what, if I said Tuesday, I'll pick that up. You can make a bill with me.
she would probably not let you take it. She may say you can.
She may copy it. Pass me a copy of what I did. I'll pick them up Tuesday.
You know how it is.
She has her on a mental block. Would you be able to leave? Otherwise,